Gold IRA reviews. Why are they so hot?
You say you're not betting on stocks anymore? You're betting on gold?
Well, we're betting on emerging markets, which we'll get into very shortly. But, you know, gold historically is a bet on negative real rates. Gold tends to have momentum when you have a juncture where inflation is higher than interest rates. Now, we're in this positive real rate environment, and yet the economy is not really in escape velocity. The fact that Bernanke is warning that there are tighter financial conditions because of this yield spike tells you that we're not quite there yet. So, you know, gold has been sold off aggressively alongside other reflation trades.
Because the reflation hasn't been there.
It doesn't exist.
PCE core inflation is 1.2%. That's half what the chairman would like to see.
But you think it's eventually coming?
I think they're going to keep on trying and trying. If at first you don't succeed, QE and QE again. But the reality is you have this unusual disconnect between inflation expectations and the U.S. stock market and basically everything else. If you look at a ratio of inflation expectations, IPE,
which is basically
divided by IEF.
Nobody anticipates inflation in the near future. I mean,
Right.
Eventually it should theoretically come.
Right.
We haven't had any.
Post-2008 crisis, inflation expectations and the U.S. stock market have been very, very correlated, meaning when they rise, U.S. stocks rise, when they fall, U.S. stocks fall, except this year. If we pull that chart back up again, you're going to see a massive, massive spread differential between
no
the U.S.
inflation,
market
and yet the market's on a tear.
and no inflation expectations. And that's a huge, huge disconnect. You have the U.S. market, which is pricing in reflation, which simply does not exist.
So what's going to be the catalyst? What turns this thing a little bit faster?
It may be a renewed interest in the BRICS, and we're seeing some improvement in China. You know, it's becoming more and more clear that demand pull inflation is not happening. So that means the Fed probably has to do what Abe and Kuroda are doing in Japan, which is cost push inflation. And if you see China start to pick up, commodity demand pick up, if you get some kind of increase in commodities that pushes inflation and reflation back into the system, it may be actually out of the Fed's hands at this point.
Okay, so where does gold go from here?
Look, you know, gold has been underinvested, divested all year, just like emerging market stocks, just like bonds. All of these are overreactions. If the Fed is going to keep us in the game longer than we think, and I really do think that, you know, Bernanke should have won the Emmy for his role as Don Taper in Mad Men, you know, then you know, this whole taper talk is nonsense. We have to get back into a negative real rate environment.